KBFers. I am running around getting my gear ready to head down to the greatest fishing show on earth, ICAST 2016, Orlando, Florida. Hope to see a bunch of y'all there. And we released this video this morning called The Miles Between, Questions for Kristie. And apparently the questions are rolling in, so thank you for the interaction. Thank you for the support of this series, and I really appreciate all of the great comments. And so Kristie has jumped in there and started answering some of the questions, but she's also got some questions about the questions. So I figured we would go ahead and just do some of these. She's actually helping me load up today, and she's flying down to meet me in Florida to do a little fishing and to check out ICAST as well. Yes, be jealous. She's getting to go to ICAST strictly because she's my girlfriend. And you know how they say rank has its privileges, so does dating has its privileges. So anyway, it is what it is. Give her a thumbs up for really immersing herself in this stuff, and a little shout out in the comments below. All right, lady, what you got as far as comments? What have you answered so far?
Okay, so BT3 Outdoors said, what's the highest amount of pound line for drop shot, like 14 pound, and is that overkill, and just baits to throw on the drop shots? And so I answered it.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm not really positive, but I think you probably use higher pound line for catching bigger fish. So if you're trying to catch big ones, then 14 pound isn't overdoing it. And if I was guessing, a drop shot would be for that deep water fishing when you want to sink fast. Seeing as how big fish usually stay at the bottom close to the cover, I would think you can use this setup all the time if you want big fish and you're trying to go deep.
I mean, intuitively that's true, but here's the deal about drop shotting. For me, I do it a little bit different than most people, and you know, guys like even Fluke Master, I've seen some of his videos, and some of the other, you know, kayak fishing YouTubers and some of the pro anglers out there may disagree. I like to use braid, and because I'm fishing super deep, I use a leader, and because I'm using braid and a leader, I can get away with a higher pound test main line, my braided line, which is usually 20 pound. But that's only a 6 pound diameter. And so if I was fishing straight fluoro like I have done, and I still do on occasion for drop shotting, I'm going to use a lighter line. And the reason that I use a lighter line is the ticket for triggering a strike with a drop shot is the movement of the lure. So the weight hits the bottom, the lure is up off the bottom, and when you drop your rod tip, it's actually the lure falling or you jiggling the rod tip that causes the action. So limper line is going to give the lure more action. Thicker line is going to have more resistance to the action in the water. So I tend to use a thinner diameter. And like I said, by and large, I'm using braid as my main line. I'm tying in a leader, and I'm generally tying somewhere between 6 and 8 pound fluoro on as my leader. I like to have a little bit more action. You know, the exception to that rule is that I will just basically take a Sharpie and black out the first 10 feet of my braid, tie directly to my braid, and I'll get a lot of action. If I'm fishing heavy cover though, and you've got a chance to hang up a lot, I like that leader being in there as a breaking point. If you hook up with braid, you're gonna have a hard time breaking it. And if you hook up with straight fluoro or mono, you might break it, you know, 20 feet of line off, and I don't like leaving all that line down there. So I generally tie a 4 to 6 foot leader, put my bait 3 foot off the bottom, and I'm usually using between 6 and 8 pound fluoro as my leader for drop shotting. Great question. Now you know. When we get out and do some deep water fishing, I'll show you.
I don't know.
Here's the other main reason why I tend to use a little bit thinner diameter line for drop shotting. You want to get your line down deep, and as the weight, and I use as light a weight as I can use, is dropping the line down. The thicker the line is, the more lift, or the more the more influence the water is going to have on it, so it'll cause it to kind of veer off to one side or the other. So a lighter line, when you open your bail on a spinning rod, is going, or you know, release the clutch on a casting rod. I almost always use a drop shot rig on a spinning rod. I use a flip shot rig, and we'll talk about that later, on a casting rod. But I like a thinner line because it gets straight down quicker, because it's lighter. The line comes off the spool easier. It doesn't have as much resistance in the water. It just is a lot easier to get that bait down there. You get a lot more feel when you're moving your line. The fish are, you know, a lot more likely to react to that to the action of the bait. It looks like a dying or injured bait fish or creature bait or whatever it is you're using. So for the most part, what she said is intuitive. Glad you asked the question. Is B3 Outdoors?
Hold on a minute.
B3 Outdoors?
I don't even know anymore. I'm so confused. BT3.
BT3 Outdoors, thanks for the question. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get out and we're going to answer these questions. One of the things that we're going to do with this questions for Kristie, in case you come across this video later on, because you're going back through the videos, or you found the channel late, or you're going back and doing a refresher because you say, what did he say about that? And you're going to go try that type of fishing. Is as we shoot these videos, to illustrate this, we'll go back and link it up in the description box. Obviously, when this video first airs, that's not going to be the case, but as we're able to go out and take Kristie's list and bring it to life, we'll go link those videos up in the description box below. So I know you're probably more thoroughly confused now than you were before.
It made like 57 new questions, but I will say I have to give you some credit. Because you've said over and over and over, fishermen name stuff the way it actually is. And I figured out what drop shot was without you even telling me. Thank you, baby.
All right, so BT3 Outdoors, thanks for that question, and we're going to keep it rolling. You know what? Let's end this video with that.
Okay.
And then that way, folks can ask a question or have a dialogue about this specific question. If you've got any questions about drop shotting, the types of hooks that I use, the types of weights that I use, when I use a drop shot, the drop shot tactic, put them in the question box below. We'll answer them in the next video, or we'll respond to them in another video. So thanks again, BT3 Outdoors. Appreciate all y'all support. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like it. Give this lady a thumbs up if you appreciate her subjecting herself to learning live on video. Well, not really live, but learning and then being put out there for the world to scrutinize. So thanks, Kristie.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. This is Questions for Kristie, the miles between. Subscribe.